This episode of That Kingsville podcast, we have Mayor-elect Dennis Rogers with us. We talk everything that went around the campaign, thoughts, ideas, fears, everything, and that more.
This is his life.
This is his life. You know, we did a whole synopsis of Nelson, and that was his life. Now this is Dennis. Join us for That Kingsville podcast. That Kingsville podcast is proudly supported by Kingsville Brewery. Another week of fun things happening at the Tap House. There's live music on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Trivia hosted by Daniel Bateson. Thursday, 7 to 9. Walk-ins welcome, but reservations are encouraged. Call the Tap House directly to save your seat at 519-712-8884. Also, November is Eat, Drink, Dine Kingsville's Burger Month. From November 1st to the 30th, they'll be donating a portion of the proceeds from burgers towards Grow On Windsor in support of Windsor Cancer Center Foundation. So Kingsville Brewery is a part of EDDK, and all of the other members are doing feature burgers for the month.
Or for burger packages. Just let me take a drink out of my cup.
Or burger packages at Lee and Maria's. Lee and Maria's. And also, I haven't discussed this with everybody here, we will have Ian Murray Desjardins Insurance coming on board to support the podcast as well with an announcement, hopefully next episode. So thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville podcast. Welcome to That Kingsville podcast. I'm your host, Dave Hunt. With us tonight, Kevin Black.
All right.
Steve Ianson.
Hey.
And special guest, Mayor-elect Dennis Rogers. Thanks for joining us on the podcast, Dennis.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so, carrying on our tradition of, being able to interview local politicians and whatnot, we've got, not Nelson Santos.
Yeah. For the first time, for having a mayor in for the first time in 23 years.
23, yeah. So, the election, just a recap.
Wait. No, he was first elected mayor in 2003, so 19 years.
19 years. Good.
Oh, right.
Good
Yes.
Yeah. I think 4 years at council.
Right.
Yeah.
23 years total career.
On council.
Yes.
Yeah. I take that back.
You stand corrected.
Thanks, Steve.
So we did our live broadcast. Thank you, everyone who watched online. We did have quite a viewership on YouTube and the Facebook and whatnot. So
and honestly, to that, I want to send a shout out to Kathy for somehow wrangling like 200 computers and turning them all onto the stream at the same time, so it inflated our numbers. So I really appreciate her doing that for us.
Yeah, no, and actually, the thanks all goes to Gary Glass for helping facilitate it. We didn't think it was going to work, but it did. And everybody, aside from a couple of small little technicalities, thought it was worthwhile. So
yeah, you guys look great. We were watching, we had a bit of a private party. So I wanted to make sure that we cried or celebrated in private.
You had to look at us,
but it was great. No, you guys did great.
The big screen at the Banded Goose.
Yeah, we had coverage. We should have had a crawl at the bottom. Gary, next time, let's do a crawl at the bottom.
Next time.
So, the recap of the way the election went, obviously, Mayor Dennis Rogers, Deputy Mayor went to Kimberly DeYoung.
Congratulations.
And
Absolutely.
Our town councilors now re-elected were Councillor Tony Gaffin, Thomas Neufeld, Larry Patterson, and then the two new councilors elected were Debbie Jarvis-Shawsey and Sherry Lowry. So, we've got some new and some experience. So congratulations to all those that won. But Mr. Rogers, Mayor-elect Rogers, which I don't know
Is Kingsville now Mr. Rogers' neighborhood? Are we going there? No.
That was my line. Sorry. That should have been my line. I've been using it for 2 days.
I wanted to ask it the night he was elected, but I
Steve,
ran out of time.
I would have expected it from all of us because that is prime dad joke material.
Yeah.
Well, now I got to pull like 3 lines off of my inaugural speech. So thanks, Steve.
And so everyone can thank us because it just got a little bit shorter. So we're already getting more votes for next time.
True story.
The speeches were concise. I watched a couple, the ones that you did for the Chamber of Commerce and with Kojiko and whatnot. Bit of an overview with the open or the Meet the Candidates events as well about who Dennis Rogers is. So I want to go back, not recite that whole interview or that whole speech and whatnot, but before the election, you're a business owner. You and your wife are business owners in town. You've got commitments with kids in town and whatnot. What was it that made you decide this was the year, this was the time for Dennis to run for mayor?
Well, I know, we moved our family back in 2012. Like it was always, my wife and I, Haley and I, we grew up here. So it was always important for us to bring our family back, for our family to grow up in the community we grew up in. And, that's when we started our business. So from day one, it was always important, for us to be able to give back. So, we put that within our business model. We put that within the time that we volunteered and, we got involved in some stuff. And, I'll be dead honest with you, like the pandemic, and this sounds hokey, literally changed something in me. And it was, when you're a battle of keeping your whole livelihood alive, and you're in that battle with people that you know and that you care about and that you see on a daily basis, and you find a means to be able to still help people, and you see that aspect, and you see that, no matter how like bad it gets and dark it gets, there's still this incredible light in people. So, it sounds hokey and it sounds all this, but that's who I am. That's who I am. I'm a preacher, so it's, let's get used to it. At that point, I kind of made a vow, and my wife, we sat down we're going to start to make some decisions to be able to help and give back as much as we could. So, at that point, I knew that I was going to get involved in the municipality at some point. I wasn't sure when and how it was. And then just the way the election, the way the election year fell, I was originally going to run for council, right? That was the goal. And that's where we were going to start and start getting involved and start giving back to our community. But, once I registered, it was a few days after that, I started having conversations with, people that I respected within the community, business leaders and, religious leaders and residents and, really just asking me to run for mayor. And not that was, my main decision maker, but the more I thought about it, my whole career and my leadership style is based on, leading people and elevating people and supporting those around me to be better and using the resources around me. So, I really, after many conversations with my wife, let's be honest, I had to have wife approval and kids approval. So, once Haley was okay with it, we talked to the kids and we talked to our family. And then once I got that approval, I'll be honest, I just really felt that, my leadership style, my leadership skill set was best suited as mayor. I can best suit this community as mayor. And I didn't think I could be able to fulfill that, within the councilor position.
Go ahead, Steve.
You go.
No, please.
No, please, Ken.
Why do you think people voted for you?
Well, I think I think you just, we're at some training for county council, and you look across the board at county council of, all the new mayors and deputy mayors. And, there was this resonating feeling of turning the corner and wanting some change. And, it wasn't just our community. It's, it kind of, seeped into our communities across Essex County. So I think that aspect, our message was always, was about leadership, and it was about, community and bringing people together. And I'm grateful that, that the community felt like I was the best person to be able to do that.
The optimists will look at you and say, yeah, you know what? I've seen what he's done. I know what he can do. And this is the right guy to lead our town. A more pessimistic approach might be to say, okay, we have this mayor. Certainly he's got a stellar CV, if you will, but he has absolutely no council experience. So obviously, the night of the election, CAO John Norton spoke about it, and you had your training today at County Council. It's going to be a steep learning curve.
For sure.
And obviously a lot of time commitment with the job. So what adjustments do you have to make sort of in your day-to-day life to really be the best mayor you can be?
Well, I think, all true, Steve. So to me, the first and foremost is, I would never dedicate or put myself in something if I couldn't give 1,000% that I can give. And then anybody that knows me or has worked with me or been around me knows that, I'm all in. So that's, I respect this office very much. And, I wouldn't have put myself in the hat to even have the opportunity to be voted in if I couldn't give everything that I give. So on the other half of it is, when it comes to like resources and learning is, I'm relentless. And, I surround myself with great people and great resources. And, I can tell you while we were campaigning, going through it, like there's, the resources I have on my campus, there's over 60 years of municipal experience, over 10 elections at the municipal level. So, I haven't done it myself, but there's people that I surround myself with that I can pick their brain. And to me, I'm draining every drop. And as far as time commitment, we've, the fortunate part again, which I feel this was another thing that resonated with our community is, I put myself in a position to be able to have the time commitment to be mayor by setting my business up. And, for the last 3 months, like I've been almost completely removed from operations. Haley's, I said before in a speech, she's a powerhouse, man. So she's, she's got the reins. We brought some key pieces in there to be able to move our brand forward and to continue operate at a high level. And they've been doing that for the last couple months. It's really been me popping in there for, resources and direction and a compass and coffee and donuts. So that's allowed me to be able to give me the time. Cause to me, it's again, getting back to it is, once 15th hits, man, like it's, I'm first one in, last one out of the gym. That's how I operate. That's the level that we do. So that's a commitment that I'm ready. And at the end of the day is, we're a public servant, right? So to me, it's that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. So to me is I have to work out or outwork everybody, right? Because that's the job. That's the job. And I'm ready to do that.
Before we go to the next question, just a quick story, and I'll try not to get emotional telling this one. It's brief, but no, it's not. It's not nothing to do with grade. Nothing to do with grade 6 or 7, Dennis. Don't worry.
I was gonna say we all went to school together.
Yeah.
Like, huh?
No, but and it kind of ties in with the comment Dennis made just sort of off the hop there when he was talking about COVID hitting and the change in the business. So when the paper closed and I lost my job at the paper, I didn't think too much about it in a sense of like, what are we going to do? Because I already had a position with a different corporation. But several people reached out to me and I wasn't expecting it. It was totally out of the blue. They reached out, just what can I do? Blah, blah, blah. And one day, sort of, I don't know if it was the day of or the day after, there was a knock at the door. And there's Dennis with a 4-pack of beer and some macaroni that they had prepared and I think a lasagna. And out of the blue, he just showed up as a friend with food and with drink. And I didn't tell anyone that during the election because I didn't want to undermine what he was doing himself as a candidate. And I didn't think my little story is going to get him, 10 or 20 votes. But by the same token,
have needed it.
No, but by the same token, but that I think, I guess I'm sharing this too because, it's one thing for him to say what he's saying and but when he backs it up in way, like he is community minded and he does step up.
Well, you and I have the benefit of having gone to school with Dennis,
yes.
Right? Like I'm a grade under you guys, but you guys, it wasn't like it was unbeknownst to who you were to me and whatnot. So we've got a little bit more acute history of who Dennis is. And it's things like that doesn't surprise me at all. Right? That your story,
right? Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
But no, and it didn't, like afterwards, like I took it into Tam and oh boy, that was kind of hit me moment. The other sidebar, it was interesting on candidates night. And after Dennis's speech, and it was strong and it was powerful. And there was 3 people nearby who we all went to high school with. And I just kind of looked at him and said quietly, did we just go to high school with the next mayor of Kingsville?
Oh, heck.
And,
Inadvertently, yes, we did.
Sure enough.
Yes, here we are.
And another side note, Steve grilled me that night at the table, which I expected and I appreciated. And, I really appreciated that because you asked me some hard hitting questions. And, to me, it's, I always feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not a politician, right? Like I'm just a person who's fortunate and humbled to be here. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be honest with you. And, if the answer's no, the answer's no,
And to be fair, if they were hard hitting, he didn't back down from any of it. Like he gave an honest answer. And I don't want to discredit the other, because I grilled a few that night because I wasn't sure in some respects where my votes were going to go. And he wasn't the only one that didn't back down, but to his credit, he didn't. So
yeah, you were doing your own information search as well.
Exactly.
Like most people did during that event.
Yeah.
That's why we held it, was the opportunity to get up close and personal and ask
some questions.
We got to have an informed vote, right? Like that's what we expect of any constituent within our municipality.
Right. And that therein kind of, I don't know if you guys want to, I'll segue slightly. You're now in for public display, right? As we know with former councils and the former mayor and the ridicule and the public, you're now in the public eye and the public stage. So again, we know
microscope.
We know you as a person, but explain how you're preparing for now you and your family and your business and whatnot to be public knowledge and of public concern or subject to question.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, again, I think it was 5 straight days before I threw my name in the hat for mayor that, Haley and I, we sat down every night and, we talked about it. And that was one of the main discussions we had. And, I had conversation with the kids and, because the last thing, that we would ever want to do, no matter what our personal aspirations are or what we want to accomplish is, it's always about the next generation. It's about our kids, right? So make sure that, they have more than what we had. So this definitely opens up to them. And that was part of what I asked them. But, they were supportive. And I think, they got a little bit of a sarcastic move on from their dad. So so that part helps out a little bit. But, as far as us, us being in the spotlight, it's, to me, it's just something we knew that was going to happen. And, I think it's, years of being in the business I've been in, has really prepared me for that. So it's, I've been in the customer service industry here for, better part of two decades, over 2 decades now. And, I've taken bullets and I've been yelled at, I've been screamed at, I've been called names, I've been, all that stuff. And I know now it's a different level and it's a little more personal, but to me, it's, I think it's all about approach. It's all about approach. So, I'm ready for the challenge. My skin is as thick as it comes. It takes 2 or 3 clips to bring me down. But, we're ready for the challenge.
I guess on that sense, Kellen would come home and be, come home from swimming. Oh, Crosby's dad's running for mayor. And, I know he kind of said a couple of things to Crosby, but how do you prepare your kids? You're going to have, your kids are going to hear things like, oh yeah, he did a really good job yesterday. That was a really good decision. And that's maybe said in one home. So then the child of that person goes to school and they say to your sons or they say to your daughter, you did a good job. And on the flip side, that guy, whatever, then some people.
It's not whatever.
It's not. No, it's not.
Not whatever.
Okay, well,
It's a couple syllable words.
Sure. So, I mean, how do you prepare them?
Well, I think really, and this is a conversation that Haley and I had the other day, is, it really just causes us to be better parents. You know what I mean? To be dead honest with you and just to improve that communication line with our kids and just teach them, number one is about confidence in themselves, because let's be honest, if, another kid's calling, their parents something, it's going to be reflected in them and their confidence. So it's building up their confidence and what we believe in them and, and open up the line of communication of like, if you have questions, you come ask us and you talk about it. But, we got like a full court press on like, kid confidence. This is who you are. Who cares what people think, right? If you have questions, you talk to us. And obviously all of our kids are at all different levels of that. But it's something we work on every day, and it's not, a regular thing to have to teach your kids. But, we're prepared for the challenge, and we have good, strong kids that we've worked really hard on, and we're continue to work really hard with them. But it's it's a daily battle. But again, to me, it's the things that our team and we're going to look to accomplish within our community and be able to bring our community forward, and the opportunity we have right now. And I'll be dead honest with you guys, I'm going to get hokey, but this is who I am. Is I have a feel, I was elected and I have a calling to be able to do this at this time to accomplish some stuff. Is that, we got to work really hard to do it. But when we look back on this time and our kids look back on this time, they're going to learn a lot of the stuff, and our community's going to be better for it.
You started training today, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
At County Council. Did you learn anything that was surprising?
Yeah, well, I think first thing was the 350 page presentation that was sent for the agenda. That was a bigger number than I anticipated off the beginning. I knew there was going to be a lot of stuff, but yes and no. Yes and no. Like, I knew there was obviously some new stuff that I haven't been privy to. Some new stuff that that I'm learning in the process of. But I'm a student of the game, so it's where study starts now. And again, I'm relentless when it comes to learning stuff and being an expert at it. It's I've had a chip on my shoulder my whole life to be better. I'll be honest with you, and that it doesn't stop in the mayor's office.
Have you read Robert's Rules yet?
Oh yeah. I had
the driest book ever written.
Oof. Yeah, I was sitting down with our clerk and we're just going over some stuff, and she gave me the procedural bylaws, because it's it's really important, obviously, to be able to be an expert as a mayor. That's, you got to be an expert in that stuff, right? And you got to be able to conduct the meeting and be able to hold meetings in order, and that starts with procedural bylaws. So that's I've been studying really hard at that with her, and then I asked for a reading list from Paula as well, and that was one of the items. And reading a few pages, I'm like, oof, this is interesting. So I'm not ashamed to say that I got the dummies for Roberts as well as the layman's terms, because it's I'm gonna need them. But
did you have to get a copy of it for journalism school?
No,
I did, and it's awful.
Oh.
Absolutely awful.
It's this little book, and it's like that thick. And it's
for people that don't know, it's basically all of the rules around it's originally British system of operating a meeting. So
governing,
governing, like making motions, point of orders, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Don't forget, there's no debate on a motion to defer.
Oh, I can hear Gord Queen saying in Gord's voice.
This is the interesting thing. And, again, congratulations to Kimberly DeYoung, because Gord was a long-serving, well-known member of council.
Yeah.
With Nelson stepping away and with Gord being defeated, that's a lot of experience, a lot of sort of political know-how, if you will. We have, I guess, I don't know how the best way to put this is who will be the sort of the officer on that council, if you will. If let's just say Dennis, and he's basically a sponge right now, absorbing all this new knowledge, but forget something.
I would expect the four that have been reelected to step in.
As I would too, but there's always there's always that one.
Larry and Tony, and Thomas, they don't know it as well as Gord.
Yeah,
I don't know if they would know immediately that you can't have debate on the motion to defer.
They would know that. They would know that.
Yes, but
no, I guess I'm just kind of just thinking in my own.
Or do you need 2/3 majority on this motion, like just off the top of your head?
Right. Or if you have to revisit a motion, you need the approval of the original first and second.
And you can't revisit it twice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh man, you can get in the weeds so fast.
All right, back to Dennis.
But having served with Gord, I understand. That man was an encyclopedia for just procedural.
Right. And I don't want to sound like I don't have faith or confidence in the current members. It's
absolutely.
I guess I'm eager to see whether
well, having had 4 members now that have served with Gord for at least 1 term or 2 terms.
Yeah.
All 3 of them served for 2 terms with Gord. Yeah.
Did Kim?
Yeah. No, Kim
No,
one
Kim
term.
was-
So Kim 1 term, the other 3 2 terms.
Yes. Okay.
So that's a great deal of time sitting through meetings and procedures. I'm hoping that they can help assist and help. And you're going to make mistakes.
And
Yeah,
Paul was
for sure. And I was just
well, never mind then.
that was going to be the point I was going to make is, we forget like the clerk is the expert at it,
Yeah.
right? So to me is, so the perspective and vision I'm going to kind of give is that, she should be the one that's guiding and keeping us within what we should be doing.
Dennis will find out pretty quick how sharp her elbows are.
Yeah, that's
Did you ever sit? Sorry, I'm going to go off in a story again. Did you ever sit in Leamington? Did you go to Leamington Council?
I believe once.
So-
it wasn't my interest.
So that was I was at every meeting for a decade, and the number of times that Brian Sweet would look at John Adams and quietly whisper, "You can't do that." No, you can't. No. And you can see, and it'd be like one of these, like, no, sorry, John, you can't. No, you're not. and then Rob Schmidt would look over, like, really? And then end up being a 10-minute conversation whether or not they're allowed to make a motion, and then finally figure out that, of course, Brian was right.
I would never argue with Brian.
And then they would move on and redo it. But that's the thing. Like, it's not you're running a meeting. It's not a court of law,
right?
And
at the end of the day, I'm not concerned. I have faith in Dennis. I have faith in Kim and the rest of council. So,
in the end of the day, too, Brian Sweet is also one of my advisors. So have some faith.
Yeah, there's a bit of history there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Through friends and stuff.
The man's been through 10 municipal elections, right? Like that's, you better believe it. I have an open conversation with that guy as far as policies and procedures and what to read. Like first email he sent me was like 10,000 characters, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to use Nelson again as sort of, he's going to be our sort of
barometer.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
For a little bit.
Our Nelson scale, our Santos scale, if you will.
Dennis, you're going to get sick of that.
The Nelson. No,
Santos
but
scale.
but here for this reason. So when Nelson was first elected mayor, he had a mandate, and one of the key items was sewer separation. And then I believe it might have been the 2010 election. I believe he had I think he coined it as Vision 2020. Because I remember one of his opponents coming up with a Vision 2030. But anyway, I saw that but what I'm getting is that, and that was why I kind of chuckled. It just kind of said, well, are we really? But obviously you've campaigned hard. You have a lot of...
We'll joke about the Vision 2030. I've heard him joke about the Vision 2030.
Okay, good. Okay, so we won't go any further with that one. But what I'm getting at is he had a vision. He had several things on his agenda, if you will, coming in. We know why you ran and what spurred you on. So what we want to know now is what's on your list? What are some of the key things that you want to see accomplished, and not necessarily from a personal level, but obviously from a level that's going to help the town grow and move forward?
Yeah, no, I think, to me, and this is one thing that, we preach from the beginning, is any ideas or thing that we push or set on the vision is, it's not my idea. It's not something I personally want to accomplish. It's what we've heard from our residents and, knocking on doors and people we've talked to. It's, there's always other issues. There's a waterfront, there's traffic, there's attainable housing, there's services, there's greenhouses, you hear them all. And I think when you've seen, you've seen me speak, be it in a speech or whatever we did, it was always about a plan. Because to me, it's, the last thing I want to be is the politician that comes in and say, I got a plan, right? We've heard that for forever. But to me, all of those items, they play into us having a plan. And right now, like our official plan has to be updated. Our strategic plan has to be updated. It, lacks a lot of detail. And just being today at county and having conversations with some of these other mayors and, long-term mayors and new mayors and what have you is, we don't have a blueprint for 2030. We don't. Like we have some things that we want to accomplish and things we've set. But if we were to lay down on the map of how our whole town's going to look for the next 5, 10, 20 years, we don't have that. And to me is, what I want to accomplish is planting seeds and laying foundation for, for the future. I could be honest with you, I could care less about my term and getting another one and what have you. To me, the goal, and this is the message I'm going to give, and hopefully, and I have a great feeling that the council is going to be on board, is, we have to think outside our 4 years. We got to look down the road of how we want our town to look. How do we want the west side to look? How do we want, the waterfront to look? And there's things we can do as far as changing bylaws and zoning and all that stuff. So, but we have to implement it now. We have to spend time doing it. And we have to have database decisions. There's some studies that are coming up next year, and, we're doing an asset management plan. And we're also looking at all the buildings and stuff that we have in town. And, we're at a unique moment in time where we're going to have an incredible amount of data that's going to help shape our plan for the next 10, 20 years. And to me is, that's it. That's what we want to accomplish. And all the things, all the issues that you hear and all the hurdles that we talk about and things people want is going to be encompassed within that. Because I feel it's a strong message of when you talk with someone and you say, hey, maybe waterfront's important to them, or maybe it's traffic's important to them, or maybe it's, no greenhouse increased development's important to them. If you have a blueprint and you say, okay, Mr. Waterfront, we're looking at years 6, 7, and 8. That's within our long-term plan of, we're getting a study in year 3. We're looking at changing the bylaws in year 5, and so on and so forth. So then we have an answer for all these items that people talk about. Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer is the answer doesn't always have to be yes. You don't always have to tell people what they want to hear, right? But if you tell them the truth and they at least know that you have a plan, or if it's doable, you're doing your job and you're representing your community.
So you have an official plan that I believe, and Steve, you might remember better than I, or Dave actually, it's at, let me think. So there's a draft.
Yeah. Yes.
That's gone forward,
yeah.
And then it's just sitting, right? Or it hasn't gone to county yet.
Yeah, because we did it and COVID hit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were on I forgot you were on a committee. Yeah, I forgot you were on a committee.
Dennis, it's a long-running joke. I was on committees.
Yeah.
No,
I remember.
Yeah, I know.
So Committee Dave, tell us, where's the official plan?
Exactly that. Yeah, we started to get into it and update to pertinent at the time in 2018 or 2019 relevancy, because I believe the original version was a 2016.
I think it was 16 or 17.
Yeah.
One of those.
So anyhow, we were doing a midterm update, and we'd had a cross-functional team of individuals from the community offer up input, greenhouse sector, et cetera, and then the pandemic and everything just kind of, the brakes got put on. Everybody went into COVID
hibernation.
Yeah, or triage mode, and the official plan updates weren't priority. And it's not that to say that the council, the outgoing council, did not realize it was a priority. It just wasn't as big of a priority at that state of time. And admittedly, anything that was on that, heck, you talk about your business and whether or not the next day you can open up and have people come in and buy anything. They didn't know if it was going to be relevant. So,
yeah,
we as that committee, we just adjourned and put a pause on it. And now that things have, revitalized and, much to what Dennis campaigned on and just explained, I look forward to seeing where that now will evolve to, because there's a lot of things that we'd had just the infancy of in the OP that aren't relevant anymore.
Well, even you look at, so we did an affordable housing study in 2018, and the Kingsville Public School and the Kingsville District High School, both those properties were named. That was another that should have been updated a couple of years ago. It hasn't. And obviously some of the data is going to be skewed or changed because of the pandemic. But, there's a lot of information we're going to be able to get with that. And, to me, it's those two properties are one thing. And, I've had some good conversation with Kim DeYoung as far as, united front on the county and things we want to accomplish. But, we both can agree is that, those two properties are going to be integral to the plan and the path that we lay for the future.
Well, and there is some other low hanging fruit, like building height restrictions. Mm-hmm. Just. Oh, did you talk about that in the committee?
Kevin's doing this because he knows that these are all the committee. What was the other committee I served on? One of more.
Am I missing? What else am I missing?
I don't know the biggest one. Tourism and economic development.
Wouldn't that have been an official plan?
No.
You didn't talk about that. How do you not talk about the official plan of economic development?
We did. Yes, we did. No, but yeah, the Main Street Development Committee.
Yeah.
But that stuff has to get if it's going to get has any legs, it's got to go in the official plan.
Correct.
It's the only way for it to be to be able to go in effect.
To that point, there was a big misconception from the standpoint of that committee, and I'd heard things. I was vice chair with Gord. A lot of people don't understand. You're probably going to face this through your term. People think that things can happen when they can't. And the format of what information is prepared doesn't automatically make it bylaws or enforceable. Mm-hmm. So I, on that committee, had reiterated the point that, hey, team, these, you did your section on that. I did mine. Yep. And these are advisory points that council has to agree with and then adopt. Mm-hmm. So now you've been a part of a bunch of different organizations throughout the community that I think will help you understand, hey, where do we have to lie in order to make things actually happen? Mm-hmm. Rather than just all the people speculating, oh, we talked about it, why isn't it a thing?
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's to me, it's a balance, right? Kevin, there's a bunch of low hanging fruit, and to me, I call them easy wins, right? Yeah. There's a bunch of easy wins that we can help, get some wins for our residents, right? But I also think there's an education gap and a communication gap there, which, to me is I'm going to help, facilitate that within our constituents of just explaining the way things happen. And to me, one thing I would love to be able to do on a monthly basis is, I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but it's an idea I have is to have a mayoral, a 5-minute video every month, just to recap of what's going on. Here's where we are. Here's what's happening within the community. A layman's term one, right? Where we can all, guys like me, can understand. You don't got to get the dummies book for it, but just getting people to understand the way things work. And, I had a boss a long time ago I love the analogy aspect. I use it a lot within speeches and people I talk to is, the municipality is a cruise ship, right? If you crank the wheel, everybody dies, right? Everybody dies. But if you take it and you just notch by notch by notch by notch for change, people understand that. People understand that. They can relate to it when you explain it to them. And to me, that's going to be a lot of what I do in the mayor's office.
I think here's hoping they listen. Yeah. Because a lot of times when you try to explain things to people, that's when they stop listening because it's not fitting the agenda that that they already have in mind. Yeah. Educate people need to want to be educated to listen to the education.
For sure.
I think in the climate though, with all the points that are relevant that Dennis has mentioned, there is that desire for the actual change, right? They're frustrated that things have happened or transpired and there was a whole bunch of unknowing procedure that prevented the things from happening. And there is the need for that education if those changes are going to happen. So it's whether or not it's well received or if they, create a petition to do things and go against what administration's direction
for sure
or recommendation would be.
Would that ever happen?
I don't know if it happened at all. So you're gonna face some things that are lingering from the past couple of terms of council.
We're calling those legacy points.
Legacy points is accurate. So one of the ones that we started to talk about on the live broadcast of election night was the council priorities. So they did a refresh about, hey, here's council's priorities and whatnot. So Dennis, of the things that you haven't already mentioned, is there anything else other than the greenhouses and the waterfront and whatnot that should be now discussed a little bit more in detail?
Well, one thing that I threw to John Norton, and talked with Kim DeYoung about is, our committee of the round and really turning that into a format, kind of more for discussion, making it a little bit more less formal. And to me, I think it's, the first meeting that we have, I think it's tremendously important. is that, once all of our elected officials are around the table or a U shape, whatever it is for them to share what they've heard on the campaign trail, right? And because really, we're going to have a bigger spectrum of what I just heard from what I did, right? So to me, it's, we take those items, we prioritize them, we compare them. That's one thing that great, John Norton did is he printed off all the previous motions and all the priorities. So we compare it to that, and then we establish new priorities. And again, we relate that back to the plan that we want to do. And maybe it's just the 3 items that we want to accomplish within the next 4 years, but items 4 to 10, you know what I mean? We're looking at year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we got a plan. So to answer your question, anything individually, no. But to me, it's more important to hear from the members of council what they heard that were really important to our residents.
When he was outlining all the vast number of things, I'm just glad he didn't mention a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that, along those lines though, did you hear a lot of demand for, because, and I'm not going to say everything's fantastic with Parks and Rec and facilities and stuff, but was there a demand for a second pad? Was there demand for a swimming pool? Was there a demand for a curling club or anything like that? Or was it more sort of heavier hitting stuff that a larger population will enjoy?
I think it was both. There's definitely a sentiment out there for a swimming pool. But there was a lot of voices out there for just, upgrading the rec facilities that we currently have. And, be it the baseball diamonds, be it, you hear we're having issues with keeping our ice cold, right? And the kids are playing hockey in Leamington, right? Like those are things that resonate within a community where it's, we got a strong rec presence. We got a strong youth junior sports presence here. So, there's some people that want, some investment there. And when they go to, other communities and other municipalities, they see, the facilities and stuff that they have, and it's, Kingsville wants more. But, the other half of it is that's where we have to have some fiscal, responsible conversations of, and some long-term planning of, that's what we want to do. Then, we got to figure it out budget-wise.
The people who mentioned the pool, did they also say in the same sentence, I would love it if we had a pool, and also I can't wait to pay 7% more in tax every year to pay for it, because that would be fantastic.
Yeah,
I would love to pay more money.
That was always my answer, is that, if we want a pool and if it's not donated, even then it's donated. It's not, they're not taking, they're still got to operate.
Yeah.
It's, there's still taxes that it got to contribute to it. And, to me, the end of the day is, I'll always be a great or good guy. So it's, I've lived my life and managed my businesses in that 80% in the middle, right? So there's going to be some in the outlying, and everybody will always have a voice, and you'll always listen to everybody. But it's got to serve the greater good of our community. And I'm going to take tons of bullets for it over and over and over. But at the end of the day, is you got to be strong with your decisions. You got to be able to make those tough decisions, just knowing that the large majority of our community is going to benefit from that.
So you've how long has it been since elected? A week and a half?
It was
9
the 24th.
9 days.
Yeah.
So you've had time. Have you figured out how to fix the traffic on Main Street yet? No.
Yeah, we need $4.5 million. We just need
less drivers.
Why did my recycling get picked up?
Yeah. Can you make a phone call about that too?
Give me $4.5 million and I'll fix it. No problem.
Along the lines of fiscal responsibility, I mean, we can't deny that the town has been fiscally responsible in a lot of ways. And in some ways it's
frugal.
One might say, one might agree. However, that's also hindered certain things. And one of the issues that I also sat on committees, but we enjoy.
No, it's not as fun.
No,
committee
exactly.
Steve
No,
and
that's why I'm like, I like that we kind of focus on committee day for this. But I just remember serving on Parks and Rec, and the issue of staffing came up, and particularly in the area of Parks and Rec. And what was happening was things weren't getting done, if you will. And I know this summer, a lot of the sort of the garden areas in and around, Chestnut and Walnut Street, were not tended to. And that's one minor piece of the community. I get that. There also been a lot of concerns about the state of Lakeside Park. And all of this ties in to the same department, I do believe. So coming in, I mean, how do you balance sort of the need, if you will, for more staff? And again, this is maybe just my observation that we need more staff with maintaining that fiscal responsibility. Can it be done?
Yeah, I think, a couple things. Like one thing that, is going to be really important to me and I'm going to do from day one is starting to do one-on-ones with all the staff, starting at the senior management team, working our way down just to kind of hear, where everybody's at, their responsibilities, wish lists, kind of all that stuff. And then obviously have a strong conversation with John Norton in terms of where we're at and his perspective, just to really get a feel of, if we need people or not. But I think in comparison, municipally is, we do have less staff compared to other municipalities. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. And, that is a direct result of, of our tax base. And, to me, it's, if you're going to increase the tax base, there always has to be value to it. And let's be honest, is, you can't ask a taxpayer to continue to reach in their pocket and continue to pay more if it's just right? There has to be value added. So is there, if we're looking at adding staff at Parks and Rec, I think that's one of the things we're looking at for the next budget is, because we've heard it, like, the diamonds being cut, soccer or what have you, and you have conversations where it's on the spectrum. And actually had this conversation with John Norton 2 days ago where we were talking about, when they go to cut the lawn, it's, every 6 days in the spring. Right. And then when it comes to a certain point, then it's twice a week. Right. But there's like a certain period where there's that layover time where they just cut it or it rains and it's a little bit longer. And normally if you had that extra person, it would be cut. So, hopefully I'm answering your question. But to me, I think over time, we have to look at taking care of our municipality. So again, if it's a tax-based thing, there has to be value there. There has to be value. I'll never ask anyone to reach in their pocket just to say, hey, this is just how it is, right? Like
and maybe, trying not to spend $53,000 on needless lawsuits and instead
we're not going there.
Parks and Rec person, right?
Ice cream Fridays. Free ice cream Fridays. $53,000 pays for free ice cream Fridays.
Or the entire grass cutting budget.
So Dennis, there's a lot of things that are going to come at you quick, and I'm sure there's going to be scrutiny and whatnot. But from what you've described, you're describing that you're up for the challenge. Mm-hmm. You've also described that you've got some advisors. What was the one piece of advice that you received throughout this process that you're going to hold as like a pillar of how your term is going to go? Was there one individual thing or a sentiment that you received? Because again, you reached out to, as you've described, leaders in the community and whatnot. So there's got to be something that somebody said to you, Dennis, if I could give you any piece of advice.
No ice cream Fridays.
No ice cream Fridays. Come on.
You said that like you're assuming it might have been a male telling you.
Dennis.
Thank you.
Anyone.
Yeah. No, I think, there's been a couple things. The most important one is, you go into this campaign with your integrity and you leave with your integrity, right? So to me, we've always preached, taking the high road and no matter what happens or how many bullets you get fired at you is, you stay who you are. So to me, that's one thing that'll never change. And, I think the other half of it is, I had a boss tell me a long time ago, and it's been reiterated through this process is, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, decisions you make, always have to be about the greater good, but it's got to be about the long term. And, I think once, we as elected officials, feels weird saying that, but, once we start thinking about within these 4 years, we've lost already. We've lost already. So to me, it's about communicating the long term, setting a vision for the long term, doing it the right way. And, those people that do that, they're going to be successful.
Now, you did mention committee of the whole, and I know when it was presented as an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
When John and there was a thought, since it's an experiment, that probably it would be revisited. With one of the benefits of having committees is having people from the community that are, that have a knowledge base of different things, whether it be,
You gotta have your
economic
Daves.
development and tourism, whether it be parks and rec,
or economic and development and tourism.
yeah, any of these.
Flip flop them.
Metabos Park.
Yeah.
Do you see that maybe since there's yourself and two other brand new members on council, that maybe there's a reason to bring back committees, because it was divisive, and there were things that went, and I know you presented it of yourself at committee of the whole, and there's a question whether or not it's an effective way to get input.
Yeah, I think it's just what I really envision. Obviously, resident and constituent feedback is integral for a municipality to move forward. Like let's just put that out there. That's the way it is, right? Because it's the end of the day. It's our taxpayers. They're paying for us to make the right decision. So feedback has to be a part of what we do. So, I think, residents being a part of it, whether it's committee of the whole, then being a part of that. But I can tell you one thing that I'm going to do, and I've been having conversations with John Norton about is going out within the community and having open roundtables. So one thing that, I'm really going to push for is we have a roundtable in Ruthven.
Sorry.
Have you ever been part of a roundtable, Dave?
I so facilitated those.
Yeah. Well,
no. It's great to hear that those are things that are still relevant and priority, because there was a lot of things that we gained with having those events that weren't well communicated, because there wasn't an avenue to communicate them,
for sure.
Which was our criticism when some of those committees got dissolved, was the outlet or the avenue for that information flow.
Yeah.
So not to say that we should recreate all of the committees in their old fashion or whatnot, but even the roundtable sessions or the information garnering. Thank God. You know what? In my old age these days, so the tongue moves faster than the brain, and I just can't get it all out. So, but
what I think too, though, is 100%. But one thing we're looking to do is these are going to be mayor driven, but they're going to be in different parts within our community. So we're going to hold one in Cottam, we're going to hold one in Ruthven, we're going to hold one in Cedar Island, we're going to hold one in rural Kingsville, right? And to me, it makes sense to be able to bring those communities together for them to have a say, and you do all that, and that's a part of budget process. So now we got a lot of feedback, a lot of data, and things we're looking to spend money on, and no promises, of course, right? The only promise we'll make is a conversation and information. But, that's a lot of data that we can take in that can substitute some of these other committees. And
it's a good idea. And absolutely there's a place for that. I don't know if it replaces committees though, because the role of a committee is advisory. So, and I do think that for some of the committees that possibly the members didn't quite understand properly what the role of a committee was. Committees don't make decisions. Committees make recommendations to council, and council makes decisions.
For sure.
But having an ongoing formal process where if I want garbage receptacles on Jasperson, there's a process for me to go and make that request, and then the committee can include it as part of a recommendation.
Yeah.
Because you don't want, council's too busy to get bogged down with the minutia of that small scale government. And that's really the role of committees, of being able to package these things together or explain, that's already in the plan, or that we can't look at that because that budget line is gone.
Yeah, and I think that's one great thing is about, and I'm super excited for the council that's been elected is that it's going to be their decision whether that makes sense or not, right? Like, so you'll have the first committee of the whole. I think it's December 5th is the first day. And, I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of the items that they're going to be looking at is, how do we want to move forward? So it's...
Maybe we should request to be on the agenda to talk about the dissolution of the committee of the whole.
It's going to be interesting if they do bring back the committees, though, because they saw cost savings by eliminating certain committees and positions.
I don't care about that.
Can I finish?
Okay.
So anyway, each person,
absolutely,
a lot of them received an honorarium,
Go on.
which is where
I'm sorry,
Push.
Steve.
Just
I'm
push.
sorry, Steve.
You know him.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, the honorarium.
The honorarium. And then council turned around and upped their own personal honorarium.
We discussed that in the episode, right?
So all I'm saying is if they reestablish committees, it is going to be an increase cost because our council going to turn and say, yeah, wait, you know what? We're having more committee members, so let's give back $2,000 of our honorarium or give back. I'm just throwing that out there as a hypothetical, but
I'll tell you, it's less than $53,000.
She's going.
Thank you.
That is a good benchmark. That is a very good benchmark. But it's whether or not, as Dennis mentioned, that council feels value in it, and if they can justify it and put it on a budget line item, and then mandate what their objectives are, as each of those committees had mandates. You are to do X, Y, and Z. Sorry, I was in the States today. Then that's the assigned value in order to pay for that service. So I'm hoping that there will be some format of information flow that way. Because again, being Committee Dave and being a part of a few of them when it went to the Committee of the Whole, the frequency of those meetings and the amount of information that's presented is presented to the council by the council. So they don't have the same amount of information flow and or idea generation and or concern to make those motions, right? If you talk about it on Tuesday and then you go to council meeting on Thursday, your opinion hasn't changed. But if a committee prepares a motion and it's based off of 6, 7, 12, 22 people's points of view, then now it's a decision that's made with outlier idea.
But I also think too, though, like, if the committee of the whole's format changes as well, there's going to be more idea and brainstorming generation because, historically when it happened, it was pretty formal. And then I think when it was first started, I would like to think the premise of it is a brainstorming idea generating item as opposed to another council meeting.
The problem.
Oh, go ahead. You say it because I was gonna.
It still has to fall under the procedural bylaw.
For sure it does.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the clerk has to be there and the clerk takes minutes, right? Yeah. For sure. But you don't have to follow, some of the other items that you have to do.
I couldn't just show up and speak at it.
But you can invite the council or residents to come and view it. You can't do that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, is there anything else that's pressing?
I had one thing. Just
go right ahead.
Since being elected, do you walk a little taller? Do you feel a little? Or is it a little weird? Do you feel different? Do you see people and do you think they're looking at you thinking, hey, that's our mayor, that's our next mayor, or is it just like?
Yeah, no, I'd be lying for sure that, you go somewhere and, someone looks at you and you know that they know that but, no, it's still really surreal, still really a humbling thing to think that, you're running around these streets as a 9-year-old kid eating Godfather pizza on that bench. And, you know what I mean? Like,
sorry, Kevin, conversation 3 plus all 29. We have 29 listeners.
Yeah, you went over to TK Discount, and you know what I mean? It's
jelly donuts for the bakery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best.
Before it burned down.
But
I cried.
Sorry, Kevin.
It's all good.
Welcome to town.
It's all good. Yeah, nice to be here.
But it's a cool feeling, and it's good to share with your family, and it's.
To be forever immortalized in town hall when you have your photo taken and put on the wall with all the other councils from years past.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I don't really bring up and you don't hear me talk about is I'm the first mixed race mayor, right? Like that's that's something my dad kind of calling and he's really excited about, and to me it was never a part of my campaign and never what I preach, but I think about it, it's pretty cool when you have kids walking on the street that kind of look at you now that they realize that, that's a reality in Kingsville. Because, we've all heard about that bylaw in the 80s, right? So it's,
And that was one thing I never heard. Never.
Not once.
His race brought into it at all.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That was
which
fantastic.
was great.
Oh,
for sure.
Like I was so so pleased.
Yeah, I feared that someone would take a very low blow and pull something like that.
Right.
And
I don't see online comments. Obviously, I'm not on Facebook, but even like just
Nothing.
verbose, like nothing.
Yeah.
They found
Verbally.
enough other stuff to complain about.
Oh, there was. Oh gosh, there was. Yeah. Which,
I got bullets on the other side, but it's, it was, to us, it was always about the high road. It was about the message. It was about the leadership, and it's community embraced it. That's, it's awesome.
Yeah, well, congratulations again from us at That Kingsville podcast. We hope to do this on the regular, and as you continue to go through your term, there's going to be points in time where we're probably going to ask you some pretty hard questions because
Sounds good.
The collective, we have to be fair and we have to be transparent with regards to it. But
You won't be the only one, so it'll be good. I
more
expect
so.
nothing less.
Yeah, that's more so. But again, congratulations and good luck for the next 4 years. So
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
you
Thanks
also
for-
got to get involved with like community news too, right? That's the other thing that we kind of took for granted with Nelson, because if you needed to know anything, Nelson was already involved. He already had the listing of what was going on. Like, just it became a norm, and I'm sure people are going to expect you to follow in that footsteps, which you're not going to be able to because you're not Nelson. And that's another differentiation point.
That was his business. That was his expertise, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what he did for a living. So,
well, in community news, gentlemen, there's news. We're going to be the MCs for the Santa Claus Parade again on November 18th.
19th.
Is it?
Yay! Thanks, Gary.
19th.
19th.
I'm not here.
Yeah, nobody cares.
All right.
So you may hear the silky tones of Steven and I. You might not hear Steven, depending on whether or not you're going to be able to make it back into town.
I'll be back.
Fantastic!
I'll be here.
It will just be Dave by
It's
himself.
not just me. Who's the creepy guy up on the balcony shouting at us?
Maybe you could have called in a committee to help.
I could call my old committee friends and be like, hey guys, you want to hang out with me again?
Committee assemble.
I'm pretty sure every question I'm going to have from you guys moving forward is going to be at least one committee question.
how about
Oh,
this
you should.
You know anything about Main Street development?
No, just an onslaught.
So yes, November 19th, Santa Claus Parade. Is it start at 5?
Did they change it?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's still not quite early enough, but it's better. That's better.
I mean, it's going to be rolling into dark.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It won't be as cold. Like it's 7 o'clock is when it gets like bitter.
Yes. I mean, even on these warm spring days that we're enjoying right now, once 7 or 8 o'clock hits, it plummets.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be weird, right? Like the parade will go through and then people can leave and actually go to a restaurant instead of eating at home. Like it's strange how that works out when you have the parade a little earlier.
And you're not even going to be here to make that point over a PA in the middle of town.
I know.
Oh, how can you?
Drives me insane.
You guys going to be in the
Sometimes we catch
I
a
don't know if you
break.
know this, Dennis. I campaigned on having an early parade in
Okay.
2018.
So he could have been on your council, and that's what you would have like. Again, Kevin, parades. Again, you can only make one motion.
Not early enough.
Let's hear from Kevin. 5 o'clock again.
Here we go. Day parades.
Other community news. On November 12th, the Star Chef Gala Taste of Kingsville is being held at the Pelee Island Winery. It's a fundraiser for the Erie Shores Hospital Foundation Care Happens Here campaign, hosted by the Lions Club of Kingsville. At Pelee Island Winery, 455 Seacliff Drive, 6 p.m. receptions with hors d'oeuvre stations. And silent auction bidding, 7 p.m. multi-course dinner by Star Chefs Eat, Drink, Dine Kingsville. 9 o'clock live auction entertainment by Jen Knight. Reservations by ticket, $150. Tables of 8. 1,000 more information. You can go to the Pelee Island Winery website, PeeleeIsland.com. Or that's about it. Sorry. Yeah.
So they're actually sold out.
They did. You're right.
You know how I know this?
Because you tried to buy a ticket?
Because I went from being a part of EDK to cooking in the back, and then I got elected mayor, and so I bought the last 2 tickets.
Oh, Dennis.
Yeah, so
Well
it's sold
done.
out.
Well, never mind. Well, yeah.
Well, then let's plug the Remembrance Day services.
I was going to go ahead, Steve.
10:45, Royal Canadian Legion, Cenotaph, 141 Division Street South.
Yeah. Can I do one?
Yeah, let's take turns.
I'm going to put my hospital hat on. The Erie Shores 50/50 lottery is currently underway. So if you'd like to buy a ticket for the lottery, proceeds go to Erie Shores Healthcare Auxiliary to purchase upgraded equipment. You can purchase tickets at erieshores5050.ca. Anyone 18 years or older in the province of Ontario can purchase, and the lottery license number is on the website. I can't remember it.
I swear I just had the radio on.
And CHYR News with Kevin Black.
Mix of sun and cloud today. Temperatures falling.
We got a little bit of a traffic jam on Erie Street South.
Traffic moving smoothly up and down Highway 3.
Well, yeah, again, Dennis, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. We will be looking forward to see what comes out of this term and scrutinizing as we always do, and or celebrating what it is that we feel has been accomplished. So,
well, I appreciate it. Next time I'll have one less button up. It just got elected, so I gotta have the button up shirt. So maybe I'll have a polo next time. We'll see.
Either that, or you gotta wear a full blown suit and make us look horrible. Like
Sebastian every time he comes in.
He does.
Does he? Well, yeah.
Like I ran home. I was literally in a jacket and shirt. I ran home and threw this on because I did not want to get ridiculed today.
I was gonna change then, so I could at least throw a hat on and it would look ridiculous. But I ended up de-Halloweening my house because there was Halloween decorations everywhere, and having that clutter drives me insane. So that was priority.
Have you put up any Christmas decorations?
No.
There are houses in my neighborhood, you know where it is, around the corner from us, Steven, that have Christmas up already. That's a bit.
Well, that's Canada, right? Because in the States they wait till after Thanksgiving, right? Canada, it's November 1st. It goes up.
That's a lot.
Is it one of my in-laws? Because I feel like they might have a hidden tree somewhere.
No, not one of your in-laws. No.
Okay.
Are you the first American-born mayor of Kingsville?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Controversy. He's not even a Canadian. How is he the mayor?
Yes, I am. Yes. Been in Canada long time. No. I was a baby when we moved here.
Stir the pot. I just stir the pot.
You know what?
He doesn't even know.
How do I retract my vote?
That more on the next episode as we uncover everything in Dennis's history. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us, folks. Please subscribe on the YouTube. That helped facilitate us doing the live stream. We do appreciate everyone's comments, commentary. Thank you to Gary Glass for production. We'll see you all next time.